Good evening, YouTube. This is your man, George Page, coming to you live on YouTube. As you know, the coronavirus has been really rampant here in America, and COVID has really has been affecting our country, this country, pretty much really bad. Excuse me, this country. I usually flip say "R" every now and then, but I realize I'm not considered American by some standards. But anyway, the virus has had at least over 1 million people affected, and nearly pretty much ooh, almost close to 500,000 who have died because of it. And the reason why, because of stupidity on our leadership. And stupid people also, ignorance thinking that not wearing a mask doesn't stop this virus. It may not stop the virus, but it can help prevent the spread. And there's been surges around in some parts of the state, around the country. Some states who, have just had spikes, especially notably around, Georgia, North Carolina, my state. Also, I think New York is doing pretty good and California is pretty good, but there's other states and counties. Even the county I live in, oh wow, we have a lot. Been like the infection rate has been higher than some counties, and this is a small county compared to others. But anyway, if you see this is a world map, and you notice America, the United States, is very darkly red. And have other countries how the color is, dark, like around Canada and like that. And then you take a look at Africa. Africa, wow. And there are spots where there's some higher cases than others. But surprisingly, it's not as bad compared to parts of Europe and parts of Asia, and as I said again, South America, around Mexico. But why does this country, as one person called it, a shithole country, is thriving so well over this COVID? Well, because of the history of Africa has. Like, Africa is one of those, as we know, has been affected by pandemics in the past, and most notably, when the first Europeans hit the African shores, they brought the disease and they spread it among the people in Africa and affected them. Just like in how they came to North America and they affected the Indians, gave them blankets, gave them smallpox to Native Americans, and nearly wiped out most of the tribes and the culture thereabout. But it is like I said, Africa, as I said before, had history of dealing with pandemics and diseases. As back in 2014, there was the Ebola, and that thing was really bad. And it was just, but because of that lesson they learned from those years of these diseases and stuff like this happening in Africa, they have prepared and they used and just basically followed guidelines that have been set for years, while other countries feeling that, oh wow, we're a great country, yeah yeah yeah, we can find a cure, but still it's just like I said, I did a video where I mentioned out how Italy they're just had a surge, England has a surge. I mean, it's just pathetic. But Africa, the the home of my ancestors, is surviving. If you look at this map and look at the cases, they have nearly 60,000 cases. Little, probably by now it's maybe growing a little bit, with over 2,000 deaths and 20,000 recovery, meaning that half the people, nearly almost half the people who have had the virus are recovering. And you see in some spots where there's probably considered the more hot spots, it kind of spread out. Now, many people think of Africa. You see these commercials where they show starving little kids and people dying from some kind of disease. Those are a few places in Africa, pretty much a few. And generally, Africa, some places if you go to the big cities, it's very thriving, very business-like. I think still people might tell you that Africa is like this. I'm watching. I was like watch this. I was watching Trevor Noah. He does the Daily Show. He does a great show on the Daily Show. He talked about Africa. He's South African, and he mentioned how well it survived. And he was showing clips from different news outlets and how they were kind of just trying to shake the idea of it. But it's just some bullcrap here. But it's like this. Africa has recorded 37,000 deaths compared to roughly 580,000 in America, 230 in Europe, and 205,000 in Asia. Now, the continent, which is population more like about 1 million, has about 1.5 million cases, according to data compiled by the Johns Hopkins University. And these figures are lower than those in Europe, Asia, or America, where reported cases continue to decline. Now, the case fatality ratio, or the CFR, for COVID-19 in Africa is lower than the global CFR, suggesting that the outcome has been less severe among African populations, noted a recent continental study by a partnership of evidence-based response for COVID. And that's pretty good. And low testing rates continue to undermine the Continental's response. However, there is no indication that the large number of COVID-19 deaths have been missed, said Dr. John, says a doctor, the head of African Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. The African version of the CDC. So, what has been what how you know been doing? Well, for one thing, they get on it quick. After learning from what happened with the Ebola, African government has jumped on the ball. They're on the ball from the get-go. There was some infections when it hit around about early this year, around February, in Egypt, and it started spreading. They were already ready to go, and that's the smart part about it. They knew what was going on, and we here had prepared for everything. It was just they were just cases compared by continent and numbers and cases and everything. I mean, they weren't slow. They just didn't shake it off as like, oh, it's just the flu. Yeah, pass. Like like a certain commander and dummy in chief had did, and when he was giving, he had we all know the U.S. had a program. He had a CDC infectious disease program. Now, like here's the thing was about it. Obama sent off of it. He didn't create it. He sat back and let experts who knew what they were doing, do it, put it together, hand them the info, and he just sign off on it. But dump, just because he felt like Obama put his name on it, felt like he had no use for it. And you know what happened? Yes, COVID, and my situation with it hit my family hard when I lost my mother because of it. Now, the number of cases, like I said, in Africa and Asia and Europe and North America and the Middle East is only one of the few countries where, it's not as high compared to Africa. And, it's just because, they get on it. Now, they closed their schools, so put in program for social distancing. They also, what it did was they went and started, when they had cases, they started looking. They go out and try to find the people, try to get to them, try to get their help. Tell people to quarantine. I mean, it just they didn't have to. They had some restrictions, but they didn't. Were really smart. And then they put in certain guidelines. Like wash your hands, avoid places where there's a lot of people. Avoid gatherings, wear face masks, stay home when you got sick. All the things that our government has been telling us, but some people are too foolish to listen to. I really go out when I don't have to. Like I may want to get something for the house, or if I need something, or have an appointment, or just sometimes I might just walk around. Just because sometimes you can get a little bit, a bit cabin fever, stir crazy. And also, it was just they've been on the game for the whole time. And then with Africa, they have such a young population. Oh, excuse me. There you have young people. Our population age is like around maybe, most those who have died have been at least in the 80s. They don't have a lot of old age homes. Most of the time, they're very believe in taking care of their elderly. You know, and it's just has just a young population. That's one thing that helps it. You know, I think was it the here's the pandemic. The pandemic has largely been younger age groups, above 91% of the COVID infection in sub-Saharan Africa, and among people below 60 years and over. 80% are asymptomatic, and said the World Health Organization. Now I'm gonna put the website to this. And it's from BBC, and they're pretty good. And like I said, it's just compares to like to Europe and North America and the wealthier countries, Africa's been on point, and that's a smart thing about that. And then also, you know, the climate, as you know, some parts of Africa, it's very warm, you know, and there's also you have around the Congo where there's a lot of humidity, the temperatures are different between certain areas, and that's one thing was that remember how dumbass and Chief said that when it gets warmer in the summer, disease will drop off, but it really didn't. But like I said, climate does kind of affect it, where you live, how you live, and that's a good thing about that. And and also they've been putting precautions and everything, and this just people going out and fighting disease. And they also said again, good leadership. We have leaders who realize there's this thing is coming. It's dangerous, you know. And let's put safety. Let's think of the people first within ourselves. Now, in one country, Tanzania, they have a leader who's like he's like the equivalent of Trump in their country, you know. And he just believes in prayer and all that. Here's the thing about prayer. Prayer is good for the heart, but you need something for the body. I'm not saying I'm not going to get somebody's religion, but you know what? I really trust a doctor who God gave the knowledge to fight stuff like this. I have big respect for Africa. The country of my ancestors. They've been through a lot between slavery, Europeans rushing in and taking the goods and taking over, because of gold and oil and all that stuff. South Africa is considered separate from Africa, but it's still Africa. you know. But they're thriving, surviving because of, and one thing, the famous elbow bump, that came from African because, hey, black people were always revolutionary with styles and fashion and anything else. And white people want to take, that they are the first ones who did it, but hey, it always come from black people. Anything, any kind of style and whatever, from high fives to, the chest bumps to the fist bump, that's been us. And the elbow thing, that's the one thing. Like, when you meet somebody, hey, you don't want to do like close contact, you hit you with your elbow. And that came from Africa. Like I said, America and all the other countries need to learn something from Africa, but they don't want to. They feel because it's a poor country. Oh, because there's all nothing but black people in there. Oh, yada yada. Ignorance and just blind and just tomfoolery. Africa is surviving well and better than most other countries because they realized something a long time ago. You got to jump a ball on something. You can't just ignore it. You just can't sweep it under the table. You can't use someone else's ignorance. This is your man on the Race George page. Like, don't subscribe. I'm out.